So we are walking into a potential man-made disaster, according to President Biden himself. Now, what does this disaster actually mean? What does this include? And who is going to be impacted? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Because today we need to talk about the potential of a medical shortage, what we are now facing because of a port strike on the East and Gulf Coast. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain who could potentially be impacted, why so many people are extremely concerned, and what this means moving forward. So all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So the first thing that you need to know, the majority of medication comes from China as far as the ingredients to manufacture medication here in the United States. Because of that, we do not have to worry entirely about medication or certain medications. But there's a huge concern over products that come out of Europe. Those are the ones that are actually in short supply. Those are the ones that we are hearing rumors that there will be a shortage in about a couple weeks. But the big thing is some of the medical devices used to actually give some of the medicine into your body. That's where people are concerned. But I want to show you something. Okay, look at this. President Biden says a prolonged port strike would be a man-made disaster. Right now, according to reports, says dock workers and employers still won't even talk to end the dispute. This port strike, this is something that some anticipated it was going to go on for 24 to 48 hours. Well, guess what? We are now into the third day. The third day. That's a problem. Okay? This is a major problem because now it looks like this port strike could actually go on for a little bit longer. But look at this article right here. It says port strike fallout. Blockbuster weight loss drug supply from Wegovy to Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound caught up in East Coast trade shutdown. Okay, so these medications have been caught up in the East Coast port strike. That's a problem. That is a major, major problem, especially for people that need these things. Look at this. The key point says, customs data shows that critical medical devices and drug components for the booming weight loss drugs from Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly as Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro are imported into ports where ILA union workers have gone on strike. It says the port of Norfolk, Virginia, in particular, one of the key East Coast ports where ILA union longshoremen walked off the job Tuesday, is critical to both companies' drug supply. Says Novo Nordisk says it is redirecting trade to air freight. That's the difference. But here's what you need to know. Medication in the United States is already super expensive. We are paying much more than countries like Canada, Mexico, even over in Europe. The US is ridiculously expensive. But what this company is doing, they're redirecting trade to air freight, which means it doesn't go through a port over on the East Coast. That's the benefit. But as a result, it's going to increase costs. One of the most expensive ways to get something from Europe to the United States is to ship it by air. When it goes through air, it is going to be much more expensive than if it travels by sea. So keep that in mind. Now, one of the things that President Biden could do, he could stop this strike altogether. He could do something, and it's called invoking a 1947 law that will try to suspend the dock workers' strike. He could do that. But according to President Biden, he does not want to get involved in this because this is collective bargaining, and he wants it to pretty much run its course. Keep in mind that President Biden is all for unions. Others, not so much. But look at this right here. I want to show you this because a lot of people sent me messages over the past, probably about 2 days, a day and a half really. But asking about these potential shortages. I talked about this just yesterday as well, where so many people were spreading rumors on social media that you got to get out there and get the toilet paper, you got to go and get water because these things are in short supply. Now, here's the truth. Toilet paper, especially the majority of it, 90% of toilet paper is manufactured right here in the United States. That means 10% of toilet paper comes from other countries. We shouldn't be concerned about toilet paper. We are manufacturing it here in the United States. As far as ingredients to make the toilet paper, right, the things that are needed, that could be a concern, because if a machine were to break down, most of the machines and the parts are coming from Europe. So that's where we could have a concern, but really there's no shortage yet. The only issue we're facing is certain stores are experiencing shortages because people are panic buying and blowing this out of proportion. But here's what you need to know. This is from the American Hospital Association. It says, HHS says impacts to medical products should be limited as strike at U.S. ports begins. Okay, that's good. I want to read you the actual statement though. Look at this. It says the Department of Health and Human Services, September 30th, released a statement on the dock worker strike at ports along the East and Gulf Coast, saying that immediate impacts to medicines, medical devices, and other goods should be limited. Keep in mind the key word there is immediate impacts should be limited. This isn't going to happen all at once. This is not going to happen in the first week. We likely won't see any true shortages for potentially weeks, if not a month in. So that's what they're saying. Let's keep reading. It says HHS, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response are working with trade associations, distributors, and manufacturers to limit impacts on consumers and assess vulnerabilities. The AHA is monitoring the situation. So, according to Healthcare Ready, a nonprofit organization that works with the government, providers, and supply chain organizers, have enhanced the resiliency of communities before, during, and after disasters. A substantial number of pharmaceuticals commonly used in the care of patients come through the ports every day. Given the shortages that already exist for many medications and the disruption in the supply of IV solutions caused by the flooding of the Baker plant in North Carolina, AHA will be alert for potential shortages of vital pharmaceuticals related to the strike. Okay. We've also learned just recently the CDC issues advisory on critical shortage of blood culture bottles. Okay. So what we know right now is that yes, there's some concerns here. There's a reason why millions of Americans should be a little bit worried because of a potential medical shortage. And it has to do with medical supplies and also the medicines itself. But this might not happen. It all depends on how long this port strike is going to drag on. According to reports, this is something that is not going to be done in the matter of days. The negotiations, they're ongoing, but both parties are trying to dig their heels in and get the best deal possible. The possibility of these dock workers not receiving the benefits that they want, not receiving the pay increase that they want, or not getting the complete ban on automation. Well, all these different contingencies, all these different holdups could actually hold up the entire negotiation and cause the strike to go on for weeks. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but according to President Biden, this is potentially a man-made disaster by the workers. So we're going to see what happens. The one thing I can promise you is I will be here every step of the way, and I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.